Hey guys, today we're gonna let you in on some secrets.
Some tips for traveling cheaply that for some reason nobody seems to be talking about. By now, most people already know about opening up travel rewards cards or searching for flights in incognito mode.
But that's not what we'll be covering today.
I guarantee there'll at least be a few ideas on this list that you've never heard of.
So make sure to stick to the end.
Alrighty, so we'll start with a few lesser known tricks to find dirt cheap flights, and from there we'll move on to some other cheap travel hacks that you can use once you get to your destination.
So number one is to sign up for cheap flights newsletters.
There are two very popular newsletters for finding super cheap flights. One is called Thrifty Traveler and the other is called Dollar Flight Club. But with both of them, you basically just sign up, add your email address, add your departure airport, and then every time they find mistake fares and super cheap deals, they'll send them straight to your inbox.
Sometimes you can even find flights up to 90% off.
Yeah, I've seen some flights that are normally over $1,000 and they'll send you deals that are just $300 and you have to jump on them super fast.
This is a good option if you don't like to search for flights yourself.
Although in a second, we'll show you some tricks for when you do want to find your own cheap flights.
The second one is to use apps to track flight prices.
There are two apps and websites in particular that are super useful. The first is called Hopper. Hopper is this really cool app where you just type in the destination you want to go to, the dates you want to go, and it will use historical price data to tell you if now is a good time to buy tickets or if you should wait in the future because the prices are likely to drop.
Okay, and the second one is a website called Airfare Watchdog.
With Airfare Watchdog, you just type in the destination you want to go to and it will send you email alerts whenever there's good prices.
Or you could just be like me and check the flights every single night. That's how I found a very good deal to Easter Island.
Easter Island is known to cost over $1,000 per person per ticket.
And I was able to find it for $200.
Professional.
And the third one is how we find cheap flights by yourself.
We use what we like to call the Google Flights plus Momondo strategy, and it's really simple. Basically, you first search for your flight in Google Flights because Google Flights lets you look at prices for a 2-month range so you can see which dates are the cheapest to fly. And once you determine which dates are cheapest to fly, you plug those dates into Momondo, which searches more airlines and more places to buy from so they can find the lowest price possible. The reason you don't search in Momondo first is because you can't see as many days at the same time, and since it searches a bigger database, it takes longer to load each time you want to load the prices.
Okay guys, if you like this trick so far, give us a like. That's gonna help us a lot.
I'm interrupting this video to share a brand new way that I just discovered to save even more on flights, car rentals, and hotels. And that's with VPNs. A VPN is basically a software, either paid or free, that you can get on your computer, and it makes it look like you're searching for things from different countries. And before buying anything, you can check to see if you can get an even more discounted price by setting your country to a different place. They did a little experiment with the VPN that I use called Surfshark, and they were able to score some cheap deals on a bunch of different stuff. When you try out this trick, just try playing around with different destinations, like set it to the destination of where you want to go to, or try setting it to the destination in a third world country. Sometimes prices for things are cheaper where the cost of living is less. You just have to play around, and it's a pretty easy way to save money. Alright, moving on to number 4, and that is to pack light.
This is especially hard for girls, but let me tell you that it's possible.
If you're traveling as a couple and you're able to shave down one check bag per person, that'll equate to usually over $100 on a round-trip flight, and even more if you have multiple flights.
And there are a bunch of different ways to do it.
Our go-to strategies are to use a big, huge fanny pack because that's basically like an extra piece of free luggage, especially when you're walking through the gate and you hide it behind you so nobody can see it. And if you still can't fit everything in a carry-on, you can just wear a ton of different layers in all your big bulky clothes, wear those onto the plane.
That's too much, but it's possible.
Guys, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Okay, and lastly, make sure to save space for snacks.
The last thing you want to do is buy expensive, nasty airport food. And so one time I actually tried to sneak into the airport with a full loaf of bread, a full jar of peanut butter, and a full jar of jelly. And in security, they said I couldn't pass because the jelly was a liquid. So what did I do? I turned around, went back outside, and made myself 15 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, packed them back into the bag, and walked through security. And I never bought airport food on that trip.
Did you do that?
I did do that.
Wow.
And I'm not ashamed. Guys, before we move on to number 5, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more insider travel and digital nomad tips.
Okay, and number 5 is a super powerful way to save money.
But it's easier said than done.
And that one is to be flexible.
Flexible with either your destination or your dates.
For example, if you only want to fly to Jamaica for your birthday weekend, of course, get ready to pay a lot of money.
You need to be flexible. You can either choose your dates or your destination. If you have an open schedule and you can choose dates anytime you want, you can obviously use the apps that we've talked about and the strategies we're about to talk about to find the cheapest flights to that destination.
But what do you do if your dates are not flexible?
If your dates aren't flexible, you have to be flexible with your destination. You can just type your dates into Google Flights or Skyscanner and use the Explore option, and it will show you all the flights to everywhere in the world, and you can just choose your destination based on which is cheapest.
That's how we found super cheap flights to Patagonia.
Diane was working at that time, and we wanted to travel on Easter week, and that was the only week we could travel. And so we just typed that into Skyscanner, and we had no plans on where we wanted to go. Turns out Chile was the cheapest place, and it ended up being awesome.
Speaking of choosing your destination, number 6 is to pick countries with weaker currency.
To give you an example, when I first traveled to Colombia, the exchange rate was $1 equals about 3,000 pesos. But last year, $1 was equal to almost 4,000 pesos. So that means anyone who traveled to Colombia last year basically got a 25% discount on everything.
So when choosing your destination, make sure to research about the exchange rate.
You can just search it right in Google, and the actual exchange rate number probably won't help you very much. But if you look at the graph of the trends of the exchange rate, you can see if things are getting more expensive or less expensive based on the strength of the currency.
Okay, and number 7 is to know the best way to pay for things when traveling.
And if you're from the US, you have some pretty awesome options. First of all, you never want to take cash and go to an exchange place and exchange it, especially in the airport. That's a surefire way to get ripped off.
So what do you do?
Well, I'm glad you asked. There are 2 parts to the strategy. The first part is to have a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees, because a lot of credit cards, once you use them abroad, the banks will automatically charge like a 3% fee on top of everything. But in some countries, they don't accept credit cards in very many places, and in those countries, you'll need the local currency in cash. The best way to get that is to open up a free Charles Schwab checking account, and with the ATM card you get, you can withdraw cash from any ATM all around the world, and they'll refund all of your ATM fees.
That's not the case for everyone, no? We're talking about banks in the United States.
America!
For Colombians, that's another story. Okay, and number 8 is to know which season to travel in.
This kind of comes down to your flexibility as well, but there are 3 different seasons: high, low, and shoulder.
In high season, everything is going to be more expensive and there's going to be a lot of people.
For example, in an island we were at in Cambodia, the owners to some of the resorts were telling us that during high season, prices were double and sometimes triple of low season.
But just because low season is cheaper, that doesn't mean that it's the best time to go.
A lot of times, low season is when the worst weather is, and so if you're on a tight itinerary, the last thing you want is the day you're supposed to go out on an excursion is the day that it rains. So a happy medium is to go in shoulder season, which is right between high season and low season, and you get the best of both worlds. The prices are falling down, so you're not paying the expensive prices. Less people are there because it's not during high season, but also you still have some pretty good weather.
Okay, and number 9 is to slow down your travel speed.
Yeah guys, when traveling, my philosophy is less is more. Instead of trying to cram in 10 different cities and places into your 2-week vacation or whatever, why not just choose 3 and enjoy each place at a more deeper level?
When you're not moving around every single day, you save a lot of money in transportation, accommodation, and tours.
Also, it's just more enjoyable. You're not spending your whole vacation crammed in the back of a bus or in an airplane going from place to place. You have more time to experience each place.
This is obviously easier for digital nomads because they don't have a schedule.
But even if you're on a short vacation, you can still do this. You just have to decide not to give in to FOMO and not think that you need to see every single place while you're there, because you're never going to see everything anyways. Might as well enjoy the places that you can see.
Okay, and number 10 is less of a hack and more of a travel philosophy.
And that is to splurge only on the things that you really, truly want to do. Don't just pay for a tour or go on this excursion because that's what everyone else is doing or that's what you have to do when you go to this place. If it doesn't look interesting to you, just don't do it.
Yeah, for example, when I went to Thailand, everyone is talking about the elephants,
sanctuaries.
Sanctuaries. And I wanted to do it because of that, but then we realized when we were there that those places, most of them are not good with animals. They don't treat animals well, and it's also pretty expensive. So
instead of doing what everyone else was doing and going on those tours, we decided to spend our money on things that would actually matter to us.
Speaking of our travels, if you want to know exactly how much we spend for a whole year for both of us traveling, watch this video.
Guys, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.